Welcome back, everyone. Due to popular demand, I'm bringing Fred back after our cancer interview. There's so many questions. That video hit over 1 million views, and there's a lot of questions. So we want to talk about what to eat once you get cancer. Now, there's a diet to prevent cancer, which, you know, I think it's going to be healthy keto and intermittent fasting. But once you get cancer, what do you eat? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So welcome, Fred.
Hi, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. For those of you that haven't seen the first video, I'm going to put that link down below. But in a thumbnail sketch, you had a tumor that was how large? Was it 15 centimeters?
10 centimeters.
10 centimeters, okay, in your colon. And within 4 months, it shrank down to nothing. So it was a stage 3, borderline stage 4. It was remarkable what you did. And so we want to talk about exactly the details because there's so many questions. Is that correct? You've been getting a lot of questions?
Yeah, absolutely. To the point that I couldn't answer everyone, and I apologize. I had questions on my YouTube channel. I received email messages. I tried to answer everybody or as much as I could underneath your video. It took a lot of time. So I'm really glad you invited me to a question and answer. So it's gonna be much easier for me.
Yes. And just to make a disclaimer, anything that I say is not meant to diagnose or replace your medical care. Check with your doctor before implementing anything we're going to talk about. And we have no vitamins to sell you. So that's my disclaimer. And I want to just jump right in. A really important part of this program is fasting, a 21-day fast. So I guess the first question, you know, when you tell someone they have to fast for 21 days, they're probably going to freak out. So how is it possible that you can fast for 21 days? I mean, aren't you going to starve to death? Like how would you respond to that question?
Well, first, it's important to know that I didn't jump into some kind of woohoo EP treatment. I was followed by my oncologists both in France and in the US all the time, and I made my research. I didn't want to bet my life on someone told me, well, yeah, you should fast when you have cancer. So I read all the scientific literature. I read all of Dr. Thomas Siegfried's research, Dr. Walter Longo's research, and at some point I discovered your video, which, and I'm being very honest with it, really helped me. But yeah, I made the research, and the 21-day water fast seems to be some kind of a perfect time to help with cancer. And like we discussed in the previous video, I'm completely aware that I was in the perfect condition to do that. And everybody needs to make his own research to adapt it to his own lifestyle, level of stress, weight, talk to your doctor. There's a lot of things. I mean, don't just do what I did. What I'm trying to do here when I talk to you, Dr. Berg, and to your members, is simply to share my experience and tell you there is a possibility to do something else or to add something to your treatment. There's some research that you can do. That's what I'm trying to do. As far as the 21-day fast, well, it's very easy. You all know now, following Dr. Berg's, the principle of autophagy, which is basically when your healthy cells have nothing to eat, instead of dying of hunger, they will feed on your non-healthy cells. So basically the healthy cells will eat, literally eat the cancer cells. And that's the reason why fasting is so powerful when you have cancer. And that's what I did. And 21 days, no fun. And like I said the other day, if I were to do it today, I would probably fail because I don't have a good reason to do it, even though fasting is always healthy. But when someone tells you, you're probably going to die, and all the research seemed to indicate that if you fast, this is not going to happen. You just do it. It's not even a question. So that's why it was not that hard. But was I weak? Was I tired? Yes, of course. Did I spend most of my 21 days lying down on my bed? Yeah, absolutely. Did I lose weight? Yeah, that too. Did I feel great? No, absolutely not. But it worked. After I had my first MRI before and my second MRI after the 21-day fast, and the results were here. The tumor went from 10 centimeters to 5.
You know, when you're dealing with a life or death situation, most people will do whatever they can. And, you know, if it requires fasting, and the thing about fasting is what you guys need to know is it's the most important thing you can do because of all the different things that kick in from a genetic level to hormone level, like the growth hormones go down, the cancer cells start committing suicide because when you don't eat, your body goes in this hyper survival mode, and it starts to survive better. And so you get all the cancer genes that turn off, and then your cells actually recycle the cancer cells for food. So that's a great thing to be able to turn your cancer cells into food for your normal cells. That I mean, there's just so much research on this, and I think it's important to you know, not just blindly follow anyone, to really get the data, study it. And unfortunately, there's a lot of big new terms when you read the research. So you're going to have to get several dictionaries out. You're going to have to get a medical dictionary, and you're going to have to understand some of these studies so you can have the confidence to know that, you know, it can work for you.
Yeah. And you are so right when you say that, because one of the first things that I did when I learned that I had cancer was to educate myself. What is cancer? What do we know about it? And one of the things that I always tell people is I healed from cancer by trusting the science and not the doctors. And I'm not throwing a stone at the doctors, not at all, but not everybody's up to date with the latest research. And when you start reading 2022, 2021, 2000, all those latest research on cancer and fasting and cancer and a ketogenic diet and cancer as a metabolic disease, you learn so much that or at least my oncologist didn't tell me about. So getting educated and taking your health into your own hands is the key to whatever I did. And that's the only thing that I would recommend people.
Yeah, I mean, in a thumbnail sketch, the way you solve problems is by understanding the problem more. That always seems to solve any problem, right? Okay, so now, you didn't really have a lot of weight to lose when you did this, right? So you did get skinny. You went from what weight to what weight?
I went from 70 kilos to 49 kilos.
Okay.
So sorry, I don't know what it is in pounds, but basically I went from a very healthy and fit body composition to nothing but bones.
Okay. As far as during the fasting period, let's not talk about the supplements first, but what about, did you have anything did you have coffee? You drank water? Was there anything, juices? Did you have anything to eat?
So that's one of the number one question I received from the people is, what did you eat during your 21-day fast? And the answer is nothing. It was not intermittent fasting, and people really have to make the difference. It was not a juice fast or a raw food fast. It was a fast, period. So I didn't eat anything in 21 days. I mostly had water, and I was supposed to drink one little shot of wheatgrass juice, freshly pressed wheatgrass juice every day, which I didn't because it tastes horrible until, and here again, thank you, Dr. Berg, until I saw your video on your wheatgrass juice powder, which I bought immediately and changed my life. And I'm not getting paid to say that. I have no personal interest. I'm just saying because it's the truth. And from that moment, it was much easier for me to consume a little bit of wheatgrass juice when I needed it. So basically, I don't know, maybe 3-4 times a week, I would have a little shot of wheatgrass juice, and that was it. So water most of the time, and wheatgrass juice once in a while.
Got it.
All I had for 21 days.
Okay, now let's shift to the supplements, because that's an important question. For those of you that are new watching this, we did a study, myself, Guy Tundenbaum, and a lot of you viewers that are watching right now donated to this cancer research we did in Europe with the help of Maurice Israel, who is a professor. He has his MD and as a medical doctor, as well as his PhD in biochemistry. Very, very smart person who helped us set up this study. He found some fascinating data as far as the weak link of cancer, the Achilles heel, the area where it's a really big difference between a cancer cell and a normal cell. And without getting into any technical things, there's a door that goes into cancer that allows the cancer cells to make membranes. And without those membranes, the cancer cell cannot survive. And so this metabolic enzyme name, the initials are SCOT. And so if you could potentially block this enzyme, you could starve the cancer, not from fuel, but from its raw material, its structure, its membrane. So the problem is, well, most chemo, not most, but a handful of chemo drugs, I mean, it could be most, I don't know, actually block SCOT. But they also kill the cancer and they kill your immune system. And it just so happens, even a cancer cell itself has some of your own immune cells in the cancer tumor itself, or the cancer. So in other words, we wanted to find a natural way to block SCOT without the toxic effect of destroying your immune system. Well, he did some previous research and he found great success. So what we did is we did that research and we compared it to one of the most powerful chemo drugs to see how it compared. And it did very well. I did a summary of that study. I'll put that link down below. But anyway, there's certain nutrients that can block this enzyme to potentially close the door on the reproduction of the cancer cell. And then you took like the two big ones are alpha-lipoic acid and Carcinia cambogia. So tell us a little bit about the supplements that you took, because I know there was a lot of extra things you took as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And please forgive me if I use a little bit of notes, because I don't want to forget anything for your followers. All the things that I put in my book helps me with the timeline and remembering what I did when, because as you can imagine, my brain was pretty much frozen when they told me I had cancer and I had big chances to die. So sometimes I don't remember what I did when. It's a little confusing. So I take my own book and I take a look. So basically, yes, what I did was the 21-day fast, then strict ketogenic diet, 100% organic, and then the supplements. So the supplements, just to make sure I don't forget anything, I'm gonna read my own book and take a look at it if you allow me. Mm-hmm. So basically, this is what I did. I used vitamin D3, vitamin C, turmeric, zinc, omega-3s in the form of fish oil and in the form of DHA. Then I also used the famous metabolic treatment that you just mentioned from Professor Maurice Israel, which is made of alpha-lipoic acid, Garcinia cambogia, garlic or garlic extract. What else? Oh yes, melatonin is a big one. High doses of melatonin. In my case, it was anywhere between 20 and 30 grams. And bromelain. And I think that's about it.
So let me just kind of
and matcha. Yeah, go ahead.
Matcha green tea.
Matcha green tea. Yeah.
Okay.
So those are the supplements that I used.
Great, and we'll put those down in the description. But the thing that I want to just mention real briefly. Some of like melatonin, also allicin from the garlic, are also SCOT inhibitors. So there's actually many SCOT inhibitors, and that is the next thing we're looking at, is to take all these natural SCOT inhibitors and evaluate which ones are the strongest to the the weakest. But at this point, we haven't done that test, so we're going to include quite a few of the inhibitors. And melatonin is another potent compound for cancer, and of course so is garlic, and so is green tea. Green tea also blocks the cancer from consuming glutamine, which is very, very awesome, but it does other things too. So in other words, Maurice Israel looked at the whole biochemistry of what happens in cancer, and he really studied what things need to be blocked and what we could use to help block from going the front end, the back end, the back door. I'm telling you, these cancer cells are really sneaky. So you have to use strategies to handle this problem from all angles. So you took these natural remedies. You also, I think you had sea salt too, right? Because that's important. And some of the other vitamins you took, because you're not eating food, you're going to have to take these vitamins because your health depends on it. So you didn't eat food, but you had nutrients, which are not going to break the fast and what we're trying to do here, because they're providing something that you're really missing when you're not eating.
Yeah. So on my side, it was a hard decision as to, do I take my supplements when I'm fasting or not? And I was gonna, and that's why I suggest people do. And Guy, as you know, did it. But me, my empty stomach couldn't take the vitamins and mineral supplements when I was fasting. So I didn't take anything for the 21 days. And I started supplementing after the fast. But it's not what I recommend. It's because I have a very sensitive stomach, and I just couldn't. I took one vitamin with a little bit of water, and 2 minutes later, my stomach hurt. But yeah, usually Maurice Israel and his team suggest that you keep taking those supplements as you're fasting, definitely.
The omega-3 fatty acids composed of DHA and EPA, those are fish oils, and those are really, really, really important as well, especially for their anti-cancer. So of course, everything that you mentioned has other additional anti-cancer properties, like the turmeric, for example, and the bromelain. So I think you were just basically hitting it from a lot of different angles, because you did the research and you found, wow, this could work. Yes,
absolutely. So first, my oncologist friend in Paris, who's aware of Maurice Israel's work, and at the time, Laurent Schwartz's work, told me, okay, Fred, you got to start taking melatonin right away, high doses of melatonin. You have to start taking green tea, taking garlic. So he was aware of the protocol, which was not as complete as the time as it is now. And then a little bit later, I discovered through your channel and a common friend, Guy, contacted him and got the full protocol, and that's how I continued my treatment, so to speak.
Okay, so then when you ate, okay, so you went 20. Well, first of all, like how many? You had 4 months, right? So did you start off with a 21-day fast, or what
Yes.
type of fasting? And I think it was even for 5 days, not on the weekends. So just kind of explain the details on that.
So when I was diagnosed, I was really, really down, completely frozen. I couldn't make any decision, just thinking I was gonna die for 3 days. And after those 3 days, I kicked myself in the butt and I said, okay, I'm gonna survive this. I'm gonna do whatever it takes, but I'm gonna survive this. And that's where I started doing my research. So almost immediately, I went on a strict 21-day fast, water fast. After that, I went on a strict organic ketogenic diet, and we can go through what I ate if you want to, for 3 months. And almost at the end, I didn't know I was almost cured at the time. We just knew that the tumor was getting smaller and smaller, but it was still here. I went for another 21-day fast, but only fasting 5 days a week and eating normally a normal ketogenic diet during the weekends. And
so you
at the end of all that,
you started with a 21-day fast, then you went to 1 meal a day, and then you went back to 21 days of really like 5 days of fasting, and then 2 days of 1 meal a day.
Exactly.
Back
Absolutely.
and forth for 20. Okay.
Yes.
And okay, so then when you did eat, coming off of the 21-day fast, of course, you had to gradually introduce food, right?
Yes.
So let's just talk about, well, how did you gradually introduce food? What did you eat?
Well, first, I was on a strict ketogenic diet, so zero carbs, or as close to zero as I could. No sugar, not even fruits. And basically, I was left with proteins, fats, and veggies. So I tried, I went on a quest almost to discover what can I eat and what I couldn't. And most of what I ate gave me so much pain. I was in so much pain at the time because of the cancer. So the only thing I could eat, and I discovered that throughout several days, was freshly pressed vegetable juice, beef, 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef, and mostly ribeyes, which for me was the perfect balance of not too much protein and enough fat, and good fats, avocado, coconut oil, grass-fed butter, French heavy cream. That's all I could eat. So for 3.5 months, all I ate was vegetable juice and ribeye steak. The next day, vegetable juice and ribeye steak. And the day after that, vegetable juice and ribeye steak. That's what I ate. And again, one of your videos really helped me, because when I discovered that glutamine could also feed cancer in certain conditions, but that green tea could help with that, what I did was break my fast every day with the fresh vegetable juice. Then about an hour later, had my steak and my avocado, and about 5 to 10 minutes after that, a big glass of green tea to help control the glutamine from the steak. And that was my meal every single day for almost 3 months.
Got it. Okay, good. So that helps out. And then as far as quantity of what you ate, did you just pretty much eat enough so you can be filled? Because your stomach, when fasting, it kind of shrinks, and so you're not able to probably eat the quantities that you normally eat.
Well, I can eat. Let me tell you that I can eat. So before cancer, if I had pizza, for example, I wouldn't have one pizza. I wouldn't have 2 pizzas. I have 4 pizzas. I can eat. Of course, I couldn't eat the same thing and not in the same quantity when I was sick, but at least a 1 pound ribeye was my basic quantity.
Just once a day?
Yeah, once a day. A big glass of fresh seasonal vegetables, a big one pound ribeye cooked in butter or olive oil with pink Himalayan salt or sea salt, and my green tea. That's basically what I ate every day.
And what type of vegetables did you juice?
Anything that was organic and in season. So during the summer, I juiced a lot of spinach and cabbage and stuff like that. During the winter, when we went more into the spring, I juiced cucumbers and celery. So I just took whatever the farmer's market was offering me at that particular time. But as many veggies as possible, greens, colored, to have as much micronutrients as I could. That was my goal, to really push the micronutrition into my body and to help my body fight that cancer.
There are so many things, so many anti-cancer. Every time you look up the benefit of any vegetable, even beets and carrots and everything, they will always say it's an antioxidant. It has it's anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer properties. And I think also you had cruciferous vegetables too, right?
Oh yes, oh yes. A lot of broccolis, and to have even more effect, I juiced a lot of broccoli sprouts. So I put the sprouts in my juice, in the juicer, I mean, and just extract the nutrient from the broccoli sprouts. And yeah, that was mainly all my juices. In addition to the seasonal vegetable, I always added broccoli sprouts and turmeric. Those are the two things that were here in my juice year round, all the time.
That's powerful, powerful anti-cancer. Like now, going now present to present time, what do you normally eat now?
So I try to stay on a 1 meal a day intermittent fasting protocol, but not always. If I work out a lot or just if I'm hungry, I'll have 2 meals a day in a 6-hour window. So I still spend a lot of the day and night, of course, fasting. And as far as food, now I can have pretty much any kind of proteins, eggs, no problem, chicken, fish, beef, of course. So any kind of animal protein is fine. I'm still having a hard time with whole veggies because the fibers still irritate my intestines. So I still juice my veggies. The main difference is the sugar. So I eat a little bit of sugar in the form of fruits and once in a while in the form of raw honey. And it is something that I didn't allow myself at all when I was sick. I am not convinced 100% that the fructose, the sugar of the fruits, in its original food matrix, which is the whole fruit, is really bad for cancer. I don't know. But because I didn't know, I preferred not have any sugar at all when I was sick. But now that I'm not sick anymore and I have zero trace of cancers and all the cancer and inflammatory markers are good, I have fruits on my non-workout days. So on my workout days, I do more of the proteins and fat. And on my non-workout days, I do less fat and a little bit of fruits. Okay. Of course, organic and seasonal. So that's the main difference with what I did before. So my diet is basically the same as far as micronutrients, a little bit more variety with the proteins and a little bit of fruits 3 times a week.
Got it. Do you currently take any probiotics or fermented type foods?
Yes, I use sauerkraut a lot. A little bit of sauerkraut almost every day.
That's so key for your gut and the since it was in your digestive system, so might as well support that. And that you couldn't get a better food than sauerkraut.
Yeah, sauerkraut is really one of the things that not only I like, so it's not an effort for me to eat it, and it's super powerful as far as pro and prebiotics. So I'm using it quite often.
Fantastic. Now I want to bring up another really important point. So if anyone checked out, check back in right now because this part is really important. Before you got cancer, your diet wasn't that bad. In fact, you were doing intermittent fasting. You were doing keto, the healthy version, for a period of time. And then I asked you a question, what was your stress level? And your stress was off the roof. And so when you deal with cancer, there are things, smoking can cause cancer, chemicals can cause cancer, chronic anything can cause cancer, bad foods and things like that. But people don't really put attention on the stress factor too. So the stress factor can activate your genetics to turn things in a bad way, can turn things on that should be turned off. So you went through stress, and I think because of the whole pandemic thing, you couldn't have you had different dojos around the country. They had to close down, right?
Yes, absolutely. And when there's a lot of different stresses, and that's what people don't understand. I didn't have what most people would call a very stressful life. I mean, I didn't battle with my family. I didn't battle at work. I didn't have that kind of stress. You're right when you said that my lifestyle was pretty good. I tried to eat organic for the past, 20, 25 years. I was on keto for quite a long time. What else? Always active, doing a lot of meditation, a lot of Tai Chi, my martial arts, boxing, parkour, CrossFit. So I was an active person, doing intermittent fasting for 20 years. So people ask me, so how come you did all that and got cancer, and you did all that and got cured? And I think, I'm not sure, but I think it's the compounding of everything. It's putting everything together all the time. And as far as stress, yes, the pandemic and the world situation stops me from doing a big part of my professional activity. I usually travel the world to go and teach in all my dojos around the world, my martial arts schools. I couldn't do that. It was very complicated as far as finance. And of course, that was a big stressor. And that's when the cancer appeared. I also had a genetic predisposition because apparently, from what the doctor told me, it was one of the few real genetic cancer. So my food and my lifestyle was not so much the guilty parties there, but my genetic background was the sleeping cause, as I call it. But the stress was the trigger. There's no doubt. Yeah. And I tried my best when I was trying to heal myself to compound everything that I knew about fasting and diet and stuff like that, plus all my new research, with even less stress in my life. You know, more breathing, more walking out in nature, more meditation and stuff like that. And I think it's a combination of all those things. We said last time on the last video that cancer is multifactorial, but healing cancer is also multifactorial. And I did a lot of things. If you add to everything that we talked about, the ice cold bath, the breathing, the walk in nature, playing with my dog, playing with my wife, having fun, laughing, watching at nothing but comedies, all those things, I believe, participated to my healing.
You know, you brought up a good point. Like you have to step up your discipline to you know, ice cold baths. I mean, for example, fasting for 21 days. That's all requires a lot of discipline. And you know, I think out of necessity, you understanding what needs to be done because now you did the research. Out of necessity, you pulled it out of yourself and you're able to kind of stick to it because you're probably willing to do whatever it took to survive, basically.
Yes, absolutely. And some people say, yeah, but it's probably because of your martial art training, you have more disciplines than others. It might be true, but look at Guy, our friend Guy, who was 70 at the time of his cancer, no discipline whatsoever, never practiced any martial arts, overweight, cancer stage 4, diabetes, everything you could have, he had it. And he did the same thing as me. He did the fasting, he did the keto, and he cured himself. So, like you said, out of necessity, when your life is on the line, I think it's much, much easier than when you just randomly decide to do a fast or randomly decide to as a prevention to take care of your health. And don't get me wrong, prevention is critical and it's much better, much easier than finding a cancer. But it's hard. It's hard to fast when you don't have a very, very high motivation, such as, hey, you're gonna die.
You know, people that are watching this video right now are either potentially have cancer, they're interested in preventing cancer, they might have friends or family that have cancer. But if cancer is not on your radar because you don't have any awareness of it, oh, it'll never happen to me, even though it's the second killer of the world, you probably won't be interested in cancer until you have either someone close to you or yourself, you know, you start developing cancer, and then you become very interested in it. So I wasn't into health at all until I hit probably my late 20s, because I personally was affected negatively with my health. Other people, they seem to get by and they don't have any problems until later in life, and then they make this shift and change. So my whole thing is you can acquire a tremendous amount of survival knowledge by learning from other people's stories, other people's successful actions, other people's strategies. And I don't know if when you're watching this, you realize how vital Fred is giving us this really key, these keys, these strategies, because it can come in handy if you ever get cancer or if you have someone going through cancer. This is like superior information that you should use and apply and think with. And because there's nothing worse than getting cancer and not having any of this data. Could you imagine like getting cancer, not having all these insights, and you just following mainstream, which I don't know if you'd be alive by now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're so lucky to live in the times we're living, because imagine my situation without the internet.
Right.
What would I have done? I mean, nothing.
Right.
So yeah.
That's right. So again, it comes down to being able to somehow, with your awareness, pull out the right information that makes sense to you, because there's so much confusion out there. And unfortunately, the first 5 to 10 pages of Google has what everyone's doing. And I think the thing that helped me mostly is I'm always skeptical of what everyone else is doing or everyone thinks is true. It's usually the opposite, especially when you get into this thing. Well, everyone knows. Yeah, well, who's everyone and where did that come from? So I'm suspect, and I tend to do everything the opposite, and it seems to be very successful. It's very successful.
I remember, I think it was one of your videos when you say, if you have, I don't remember what it was. I think it was about diabetes. If you have diabetes, go on the website of the American Diabetes Association and do the complete opposite, and you have a better chance. I apologize if it's someone else. I don't remember, but I thought that was brilliant. And that's basically what I did. It doesn't mean that I completely rejected Western medicine or that I have a grudge against it. I just didn't think it was the answer for me. But as we discussed last time, I did 3 sessions of chemo because of the pain, and it really helped me. So I'm thankful to those doctors and nurses who are helping with the symptoms. And it's critical when you suffer so much that you're not even sure that you want to live. And that's where I was at some point. And a doctor tells you, hey, take my chemo or take my pill and you're going to feel better in 3 weeks. It's a miracle. And I really appreciate it. And I thank my doctor for that. But as far as curing me without any long-term side effect, for me, Western medicine was not the answer. And I choose to look at the biology and the science instead of the medicine. But it doesn't mean it's the same truth for anyone. Everybody has to make his research and put his or her trust into what feels right for that person.
When you deal with cancer, there's a lot of conflicting information. So you have a lot of so-called facts that are opposing each other. You can't have 2 facts opposing each other. One of them has to be false. And so you unfortunately going to have to study both viewpoints back and forth to really see which one is true and which one's false. But when you deal with cancer, there's a lot of money going on. There's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of false information, manipulation of research. So there's a really good book, I'm going to put it down below, of someone really highly credible, a scientist who talked about all the manipulation that they do in cancer research. And I think if you're really interested, you should take a look at that book, because you need to know the truth, and that way you can not be susceptible to doing the wrong thing.
Yes. One of the things that I did when I was doing my research, and it was my main philosophy. It's not always true, but it was my main line to select informations, is when you have 2 conflicted informations about the exact same thing, first, trust the one that doesn't make money. Like fasting. Fasting doesn't make anyone any money. So study that first. It doesn't mean it's the truth. Keep studying all possibilities. But my first attention would be on those research and from researchers that didn't make money out of it. That was my first main idea.
Yeah, unfortunately, all those researchers, they get paid. They're funded by industry and governments and things like that. So, I mean, who's going to pay a researcher to do research on something that doesn't make money? It's hard to, there's so many things like, that's why you're not going to find a lot of research in apple cider vinegar, for example, because it's just not a product that people buy. So anyway,
Yeah,
Fred, this has been an incredible knowledge talk or dialogue that we had. And I think people are going to really use this data to survive better. And I'll put some links if you haven't not seen the other videos that we've done related to this topic, so you can have all the information. So thank you very much, Fred. I appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you very much.